ดีค่ะ This is Sabai Talk, a podcast about Thai food, Thai culture, and the Thai way of living. I am Hong Thaimee, the New York City chef and the creator of Thaimee artisanal sauces.
And I'm Pailin, chef and YouTuber and creator of hotthaikitchen.com. So today we are talking about a dish that many people would argue should be Thailand's national dish instead of Pad Thai. And indeed, if we're going to go and decide a national dish based on how often a thing is consumed by Thai people, this one should definitely be number one. And we're, of course, talking about the one and only Pad Gaprao, or holy basil stir fry. It's popular not just in Thailand, it's popular overseas. Just about every Thai restaurant has Pad Krapow on the menu, even though it's not quite the same as the ones in Thailand, and we'll talk about that in a little bit. But first, Pi Hong, since Pad Krapow is such a big part of the Thai diet, do you have a Pad Krapow memory to share with us?
You probably know me by now that I'm quite an adventurous person. And since I was young, right, I remember one evening my mom and dad went on a business trip and they were on the way home, and then the storm get into town in Chiang Mai, and we went out of electricity. So, and you know, back then it was just a landline, right?
Yeah.
So my parents could not get a hold of me and my brother.
Yeah.
And it was just us without, help, without helper. And I look at my brother and it's like, you know what? It's getting late. It's an evening, it's dinner time now. Let me make something for you. And then I went to our garden and grabbed Kra Pao and just, make a whole dish for us, brother and sister.
In the dark.
In the dark. And then when my mom got home, she was, oh my God, I was so worried that you guys, going to cause problems, stuff like that. And I say, no. But I made a Pad Kra Pao for my brother too, and she was like, good girl. I think I probably was in like 6th grade or something.
Wow, so young.
Oh, I don't know, me and fear. I think I don't really have much of that. So I just, you know what? It's time to survive, and we will.
And what better dish to help you through survival than Pad Krapow, right?
I know. Oh, my mom
that's
would have,
cute.
she was like, oh, I was so worried, but I'm glad that you could cook something, fix something up for you and your brother.
Yeah, and thankfully, most stoves in Thailand are gas powered. So not electric powered. Otherwise, you would have been screwed. Otherwise, you would have made some tam or something that doesn't require cooking. Okay, so my Pad Krapow memory is I think it was actually the first dish I ever taught anyone how to make. I was in high school at this time, and I was living in Bangkok, and I had a friend who came over to my house, and she was living in Thailand, but she was Indian because I went to an international school. And I told her, okay, I'm gonna make Pad Krapow. I'm gonna show you how I make Pad Krapow, and I made it. And she was like, oh, that's why your Pad Krapow is better than mine. And I was like, what? And she said, you put oyster sauce in it. And then she kind of like, because the reason I made that dish was I think she said something like, I've tried to make it and it just doesn't taste as good as what they're selling on the street. And she was trying to figure out what the missing thing was. And she determined that the missing thing was oyster sauce. And so that was my first memory of teaching someone else how to cook was Pad Krapow.
You know what? You have that in you. Last time you taught the whole class how to make Pad Thai.
No,
som tam. I'm so sorry. You asked, that you taught your whole class how to make som tam, the papaya salad, and then later on in junior high, you taught your friend how to make Pad Kra Pao.
Yeah, being a cooking teacher has always been in my blood, whether I knew it or not.
You're born to be, darling.
I know. Okay, so let's first talk about what is Pad Gaprao exactly. Can you translate for us what Pad Gaprao means?
Pad. Remember we talked about this in the Pad Thai episode. Pad is anything stir fry, right? Kra Pao is a Thai holy basil.
Mm-hmm.
Should I call it Thai? Because I think there's some other cultures that use Kra Pao as well. I think the
Yeah.
Indian use that, but they use that for the religious ceremony.
Mm-hmm.
That's why they call it holy basil.
That's right.
So pretty much it is a dish that you stir fry garlic chili, okay, with minced protein most of the time. Could be pork, chicken, beef. And sometimes I say that with seafood. And then add on the Kra Pao or holy basil and season with some fish sauce or oyster sauce as you wish.
Oyster sauce is the secret. So, and this is a dish that can be served either as what we call ahan jan dio, which is single dish meal. So a meal that you would eat by yourself without sharing. So you would put the Pad Krapow on top of rice and then usually with a fried egg on top. But you can also have it family style. So you can make the stir fry and put it in the middle of the table and then share it. It really, is available in all ways of eating, which is why it's so commonly consumed in Thailand. And I want to talk about the two different versions of Pad Krapow. So there's the old school and the new school. The old school Pad Krapow is what's believed to be the very, very first version of it. Was a very simple stir fry, like Chef Hong mentioned, garlic chilies, minced protein, and the holy basil. And the seasoning was just fish sauce and sugar, and that was it.
Sugar.
Yes.
So that's the thing. We kind of like put in a tiny bit of sugar.
And that's
so
why-
old school Thai.
And that's why it's so good, because the combination of salty and sweet balance each other out, keeps you going back for more. That's why it's so good. Now, the new school, which is actually the one that I grew up with, okay? Like, it's ironically, the old school was the one that I discovered later in life. The new school is one with vegetables in it. Often it's onion or long beans chopped up in small pieces. Those two are the most common. But, I've seen other people put other vegetables in it as well. But onions and long beans, I think, would be the most common. And then the seasoning gets a little more elaborate with oyster sauce and soy sauce and dark soy sauce and things like that. And so I never knew about the old school, but in recent years, for whatever reason, there's this wave of people who are extra passionate about old school Pad Krapow, right? And they're going online and saying like, this is not real Pad Krapow, like real Pad Krapow doesn't have long beans in it. And they get so mad. And I don't know why all of a sudden this became a thing. Maybe they've always been there, but without social media, they had no place to vent. I don't know, but this suddenly became a thing. And I'm like, hey, I think both versions are perfectly good. Like, a dish can evolve,
Precisely what you just said, and I agree completely. I think that food has its own timing. You know what I
Yes.
mean? Like we keep on evolving, right? I mean, right now, Pad Krapow in a fancy restaurant, modern Thai restaurant, I see wagyu beef.
Yes.
I see sometime like with like big lumpy seafood, even crispy soft shell crab. I've seen
Yes.
that before, right?
Yes.
But the heart of it, the core of Pad Krapow is the Krapow with garlic and chili. And you know
Yes.
what? It serves best. I don't know about you, but for me, I prefer it with steamy jasmine rice. Now I prefer a healthier version, but when I was younger, steamy jasmine rice with crispy kai dao.
Yes.
The
Crispy
sunny
fried
side
egg.
fried egg.
Yes.
And it's so gorgeous with extra prik nam pla.
Yes. Have we talked about Prignapa on the show?
Yeah, with some of all the seasoning with the green curry
Yeah.
episode.
Yes, we've talked. Wow, your memory is
Yeah.
better than mine. So Prignam Pla is basically what I call the condiment that improves all dishes.
The holy grail.
I
The
ha-
holy grail of Thai food.
It's the simplest thing. It's just fish sauce, chopped up chilies, and a little bit of lime juice. You can get a little fancier with garlic and shallots and whatnot, but the simplest version is just fish sauce and chilies and a little bit of lime juice. And I released a YouTube video about Prignam Pla, and it went viral. It was crazy. I didn't know such a simple thing. It's got over 1 million views on it. I didn't know such a simple thing would be so interesting to many people. But I think we're always looking for like a simple thing that can improve our food. And the reason why it goes so well with Pad Kra Pao is because we like to drizzle that on top of the fried egg.
Mm-hmm.
right? Because the fried egg is plain. It's not seasoned. So this is the little dash of flavor.
Let's give more picture of the fried eggs to our listener, right?
Yes.
So how Thai would do, think about sunny side up, but with a lot of oil in a big wok. So the white egg rims got so crispy and the runny, the yolk inside still runny. Imagine that with the prik nam pa, the fish sauce with chili. It's to die for.
It's basically a deep fried egg.
It's so good. So good. So good. The texture, amazing.
And I think the reason it goes so well with Pad Krapow is because the fat from the egg and the creaminess from the egg yolk helps to mellow out the spice of the Pad Krapow, I think. And then let's talk protein a little bit. We mentioned briefly, but Pad Krapow is made most commonly, I would say, ground pork and ground chicken. Right? Ground beef also, but I feel like Thai people don't eat a lot of beef, so it's just naturally not a thing that's quite common. But theoretically you can Pad Krapow anything, as Chef Hong mentioned, but those are the two most common protein: ground pork, ground chicken. If you want to go like classic, basic.
In Thailand, once a year, there's a big vegetarian and vegan festival. So you would see a lot of version of satan meat or mushroom or tofu Pad Gaprao. Gaprao J.
Yes.
Gaprao J. Yes. J is the way they call vegetarian in Thai. Mangsavirat. Yeah.
Yeah, so J is I don't want to get too detailed on it, but it's very, very strict vegetarian. It's vegan, but it's also no garlic and no chilies.
Nothing
and no
that create smells.
strong flavor. So no onions, no garlic. But during the J festival, they do like to make versions of Pad Krapow, and they use this. We call protein kaset, but in English, it is texturized vegetable protein, or TVP.
Doesn't sound good.
It doesn't sound good. They really need to come up with a better name for TVP than TVP. It sounds like a plumbing supply item. But this is dried soy protein that you rehydrate in water, and then it rehydrates into kind of like chewy little bits of meat. It works really, really well as a protein substitute in stir fries, and it's great in Pad Krapow. That's a good point for bringing up a vegetarian version. And then you would use soy sauce and black soy sauce instead of fish sauce and oyster sauce instead.
Mushroom sauce as well for J eater. I mean, vegetarian, vegan in Thai.
Vegan, basically.
Yeah.
Basically.
Yeah.
Let's talk a little bit more about the elusive holy basil, Gaprao.
Oh my.
Now, this is just the bane of the beings of Thai people living abroad, because it is one herb that is so incredibly difficult to find. And when you do find it, oftentimes it's not fresh. It doesn't have a strong smell. It's disappointing. Can you describe the smell of holy basil to us, if you can? I know smells is so hard to describe, but
When Pailin say it's strong, I think it is more herbal strong. It's like minty yet eucalyptus at the same time, right? It has its own unique pungent spicy smell. You know, and it's so special that actually it has probably had a lot of good aromatic oil, because it has some good digestive what do you call that? Medicinal effect. So
Right.
it helps you with, the digestion.
yeah, I think Indian people like to brew it up as tea.
Yes.
They call it tulsi tea.
Yeah.
And they drink that. And Thai people don't do that, but that's a different way that they use it.
Think about it. It's like it has this like pungent, spicy aroma with a hint of sweetness.
Yeah. It's very difficult to describe this smell. If you're familiar with the smell of Thai basil, just know that it is nothing like it. It's completely different.
It's kind of like from the same family, but the outcast in a better way. You know what I mean?
Yes,
Like it's
yes.
so unique, very, confident person. You know what I mean? Because she's just shy, right?
Yeah, it's a little peppery too, I would say.
Peppery, eucalyptus-y,
And
something.
And
and
unlike
heat.
Thai basil, I feel like the strength of aroma of kapow is a little less. So when we add Pad Krapow to dishes, we add a ton. Like it's
Mm.
like a huge handful of holy basil it goes
Mm-hmm.
in because it's not as strong of a flavor as you might imagine Thai basil to be. When I cook overseas without a reliable supply of Pad Krapow here in Vancouver, I prefer to use Italian basil, to be honest, because I feel like when all is said and done, it's got a closer flavor to kapow than Thai basil.
Mm-hmm.
I think both versions are good. Like you can make Pad Krapow with Thai basil instead or with regular Italian basil instead. But if you ask me, I feel like the Italian basil gets you closer
Mm-hmm. I
because
could see that. Yeah.
Thai basil has such a different, unique, licoricey, sweet aroma that is very,
Yeah.
very distinct. And the reason this came upon me, it's funny how I realized that Italian basil was a better sub was I was in Thailand and my family went to an Italian restaurant and we ordered pizza and the margarita pizza and it came with Italian basil on it. My mom ate it. She'd never had it before and she said, "Oh, tastes kind of like kapow." And I was like, "Oh my God, you're absolutely right." If we were to draw a comparison for a Thai person who's never had Italian basil before, the first thing that came to her mind was kapow. And I was like, you are absolutely brilliant. It totally is a better sub than Thai basil. And from that point onward, I started using Italian basil instead, thanks to my mom.
Okay. So you said that you can find Gaprao or the holy basil in Vancouver.
No, not in Vancouver. In like Surrey, which is like 45 minutes drive away from Vancouver.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a trek that I don't make. But when
Mm-hmm.
I did make that trek to have it for a video one time, I was really disappointed by how weak the smell was.
It's But can you do it at home? Can you grow next time? Can you
No,
bring the seeds?
you know, I probably can, but I don't have a house, right? I live in an apartment. Don't have direct sunlight anywhere
Mm-hmm.
in my place.
Mm-hmm.
So, which is a problem because kapow requires a lot of direct sun and it requires warm temperature. I have thought about trying it using a grow light and which can work. I feel like temperature might be an issue in the winter time because
Yeah.
this
You
is
can, yeah.
definitely Thai basil is much easier to grow in this climate,
Mm-hmm.
indoors with a grow light. But holy basil, I've had people report that it's much more difficult to grow.
Mm-hmm.
But
Mm-hmm.
I've been toying with the idea of getting an arrow garden. Have you ever seen one of
I've
those?
I actually I've done that at home.
Really?
Yes.
Did it work?
Amazing.
Okay, with holy basil?
Yes.
Okay,
I've tried.
so I'm
But
gonna try
you got to
that.
know when you do that at home, the leaves may not be as strong as growing that in the ground, but that's fine because you get the aroma. Yeah.
Yes. And it's so funny. Every time I release a video online that talks about using holy basil, and if I say, well, I don't have access to holy basil, I get
Someone
like
would send that to you.
I get 35 people commenting in the video, "Did you know that you can grow holy basil at home?"
Yes.
And I'm like, "Yes, I know. It's a plant. I know it can grow." Like you don't realize I don't have a garden. I don't have the condition that will allow this thing to grow. But yeah, but people, I'm a plant person too, and we're very passionate about preaching to other people about the joys of plants. And people are just so excited to tell me that you can grow holy basil at home. And yes, I know it's just the conditions are not ideal in my place, but I am trying to experiment with that at some point.
I hope you do. But I have to say, finding ingredients in Vancouver is pretty accessible. No?
I can think of very few things that I cannot get in Vancouver.
Mm-hmm.
And if I do make that trek to this particular store in Surrey, then I have basically everything.
But
Yeah.
here in America, I have to say, if you find, you can. There's some farms in California and in Florida, and I'm sure somewhere in a warmer climate that the Asian and Thai farmer grow their own. The only thing is that it doesn't last long. Their shelf life is like a
Yes.
day max.
That's
Like other than, like after a day, just dead. Turn anti, what do you call it? it oxidized, turned darkened, and it's not usable. It's not pretty.
I think that's another issue with the reason why it's so hard to import is they don't last long, right? Stores will import it and then they go bad. And the ones that they do import, I think they've been bred to last longer. But if you breed for longevity, you lose the flavor, right? So, and the leaves of Krapow is so much thinner than Thai basil, so they really don't last long. So if you're gonna go out of your way to buy it, you better be cooking it that day. This is not for tomorrow.
Yeah. I've seen some just make a sauce, like just make just this sauce and keep to use that later if they would like to kind of like, pre-prep, meal prep, right? Talking about meal prepping.
That's actually a really good idea. And I do have a recipe on Hot Thai Kitchen where I call all-purpose basil sauce. And the idea is if you've got basil and you can't use it all up, here's a sauce that you can make and then you can turn it into another dish later on. Yeah.
My solution here in America, most of the time now we can find Thai basil. I'm talking about regular Thai basil.
Yes.
At the not Asian supermarket. And it would come, quite, half a pound could be. And what I do is that I would use that for green curry and then I would save that. And instead of making Pad Krapow, I make Pad Horapa.
So
Horapa. So Horapa is a Thai name for Thai basil. And do the same application, but instead of the holy basil or Krapow basil, I do with Thai basil. We have to be creative.
Yes.
And be efficient and make use of what is available locally.
Yeah. And, I used to be super hardcore about like getting exactly the right ingredients. Like I would make that 45-minute drive to go get it. But, after a while, I realized I have to be more practical. Like if I'm going to teach other people how to cook Thai food, I can't expect them to drive half an hour, to go find this one thing that they may or may not have today. And like, I have to provide people with options and solutions. And so since that realization, I've become a lot more relaxed with myself. It's like, hey, if I can't find this thing, I'm willing to go on video to say, I couldn't find this thing that I'm really supposed to use, but this is what I'm using instead. And you can do that too.
Exactly. And that is a great tip because we don't live in Thailand. We live abroad, outside of Thailand. But in Thailand, you would find it, everywhere, right?
Yeah. When I go home, I am shocked because Gaprao grows like weeds in my house. Literally, we have probably 35 plants just growing at random, like in between cracks on the pavement. It's just like wild everywhere.
And there are two types of Krapow. For those who live in Thailand and, wanted to grow deeper of your education about knowledge about Thai food, there are two types, the Krapow, the green ones and the red ones.
Yeah. We're talking about the stems,
the
not
leaves
the
too.
leaves. The leaves are a little bit red, but it's still a green leaf with like red veins. So in Thai we call it Kapao Khao, which is the literally white Kapao. That's the one with the green stems, green leaves, everything green. And then Kapao Dang, literally red Kapao, and that's where the stems are more purple and the leaves have a purplish tint. I find, at least for the ones growing at my house, the red ones have a stronger smell. They're more aromatic. But most of what you can find at the market is the white one.
Yes.
Yeah. So let's talk about, it's a bit of a tangent, but it's a cousin dish of Pad Krapow, and that is Pad Krapow. Can you tell us what Pad Krapow is and why it's a relative of Pad Krapow?
So saying that again, Pad is the stir fry. Kimao, you've heard of this all the time. I mean, the dish of Pad Kimao. But this time is a stir-fry noodle dish that is pungent, spicy, right? And I let Pailin share the story. Why is it called Pad Kimao?
Well, I'm having a deja vu. I feel like we've covered this. But basically, Pad Kimao means a drunkard stir-fry. Kimao means a person who's drunk all the time. Yeah. And there are two stories. One is this dish is so spicy that it'll wake you out of your drunken state. Yeah. The second story is a drunkard came home one day super hungry and he just grabbed a bunch of ingredients in the kitchen and threw it together in a pan, and then he made a dish that satisfied, the munchies that you get when you're drunk and hungover. I'm sure neither of these stories are actually true.
We just come up. I mean, again, going back, Thai are very creative in naming the dish.
Yes.
But going back to that, and part of the spiciness and aromatic, in Thailand, when you order Pad Krapow, you would get Krapow in there.
Mm-hmm.
And this one, you don't serve it on top of the rice because you already have the noodles into the dish.
Yes.
And that is why it's a cousin.
Yes.
Pad Krapow and Pad Kra Pao.
Yeah. So they both use kapow as the herb, holy basil as the herb, and the seasonings are also quite similar, right? Like you've got fish sauce, soy sauce, oyster
Basic
sauce,
stir
garlic,
fry.
chilies,
Yes.
basic Thai stir fry.
Yeah.
Except with Pad Krapow, a lot of times people also add other herbs like gachai, finger root, or young peppercorns.
I love adding
yeah.
young peppercorn.
Yes.
And it looks pretty too.
Yes. So that's a bit of a side tangent of what Pad Krapow is. Now, I want to expand a little bit on why Pad Gaprao should be the national dish of Thailand. And so in Thai, we've got a phrase to describe Pad Gaprao, and we call it ahan sin kit, which basically means if you can't think of anything else to eat, this is the dish you make. It's like I translate it as the desperate dish.
It has is it though? It's
Well-
just like, you know what? I love you so much. I can't live without kind of dish.
Yes. Well, desperate meaning like, okay, you got nothing else. And the reason we say it's ahan sin kit because ingredients in Pad Gaprao is something that every Thai house will already have, right? People have kapow growing in their yard. Ground pork is something that's in everybody's fridge at all times. And like all the seasonings, ingredients, it's just so basic that you never really have to go shopping specifically for this dish, which is why we say if you can't think of anything else, just make Pad Gaprao, eat Pad Gaprao.
And I think that the flavor of Pad Krapow is so comforting too, right? I mean,
Yes.
it makes you feel really good.
Yes.
No?
And you bring up a good point. The flavor of Pad Gaprao is one of those dishes that you don't have to be in a mood for. Like whatever mood you're in, you will be okay with Pad Gaprao. Like there are certain dishes where you got to be in a mood for that, right? It's like,
Yeah.
otherwise it doesn't hit the spot. But Pad Gaprao just kind of answers your question at any times. It's like whether it's cold, it's hot, Pad Gaprao will always work, which is
You're
why.
right.
Yeah.
It could serve at the room temperature.
Yes, it
I
doesn't
would
have to
just
be
think-
piping hot. You can pack it
No.
for lunch.
Uh-huh. Well, I just thought of this story. I grew up in Chiang Mai, and we at the school that we always have a sport day once a year. And we have to, gather together for, like the whole school and do, all those. And for lunch, they always serve Pad Krapow in the box. And I think I love that. Do you have that in your school
You
too?
know what? I feel like I had a similar thing, and we also did Pad Gaprao in a box.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like we do like a box, and we talking about someone cater
Yeah.
for like the whole school, which is like rice, Pad Krapow, and then fried chicken with the fish sauce in a small plastic bag. Every box would have that.
Yes.
That is so old school Thai.
Like
Really
you're bringing
old school Thai.
you're bringing
I'm talking
back
about like
mem-
30 years ago. We might look young. We're not that young. Maybe because we're eating Pad Krapow, so we look this good.
Exactly. You're bringing back memories I didn't know I had. Yes, you're absolutely right. Sports day, all the kids are out in the fields all day, and that's what we would get. Rice with Pad Krapow with a fried egg and the little pig nampa on the side. And it's
in
one of
a
those...
small plastic bag. When I say
Yes.
plastic bag, like they make a small container. Like here you have a container with a lock on the top.
Yeah, like
But
a
imagine,
lid.
yeah, like a lid. But like imagine years ago, it's just a 2 inches by 2 inches plastic bag with the sauce inside and the rabbit with the rubber band.
Yes. Yes.
To make it into a small pouch. That's so cute. That was a good old time.
Yeah. And you know what it is? Pad Krapow, another reason it's so ubiquitous. It's very easy to make at scale. Like
You're right.
you can make a large batch of Pad Krapow. You know, it's not like Pad Siiu, Pad Kimao, where you got to make like one at a time. You can make a big batch of Pad Krapow easily.
You're right. For those of you listening at home and have not been to Thailand, or you've been to Thailand, you might have seen this in like a temple fair or something. Sometimes they make Pad Krapow in the wok that is like about 3 foot, 4 foot long. Gata by boa, you know, like huge, and you can serve 50 people in that one batch. Imagine what kind of muscles the chef has to have.
I know. And another reason they decided to serve Pad Krapow to every single child in the school, because that's the one dish everybody will eat, right? Everybody nobody doesn't like Pad Krapow. So if you're gonna feed 1,000 people the same thing, this is the thing you give them.
Here in America, you serve sandwiches.
Yeah.
Back in Thailand, we serve rice and Pad Krapow in the box.
Yes.
And a plastic spoon in a soup spoon shape.
Yes, exactly.
Wow.
So I'm curious, when you had your restaurants, did you have Pad Krapow on the menu? And if so, what was it?
I did not have a Pad Krapow, but I got that inspiration and make it into, I mean, you know me, I cook modern Thai and I like to be adventurous all the time. I explore and try to make something new. And I consider myself as a bridge between, you know, two cultures and actually to the world. I made Pad Gaprao, but with hola pa style, Thai taco. So good. It's one of the top like bestseller. I make pet duck. So I crisp the duck. We roast it first and then we deep fry the duck. So the duck is like, the skin is super crispy. And then we toss it with Kra Pao style. But because Kra Pao is hard to find, we use it with by hola pa. And then serve it in the taco shell. And then do the crispy Thai basil on the top. I kid you not. All in all, every table, they love that. It's just like that. Sin kid now, you know, like, I just want that Thai taco.
Did you put any sort of like sauce or anything on it in addition to the stir fry itself?
Oh, I mean, oyster sauce.
No. I mean, like, you know, tacos, sometimes they will drizzle like a crema or something like that.
No,
Okay,
just like that. Just basically Pad Krapow with hola pa in the taco tortillas.
I was just having a conversation with a friend recently how like because there's a new restaurant that just opened up in our neighborhood and it's called Miso Taco. It's a taco place with Japanese food filling. And I thought, man, Thai food would be such a great pairing with taco. You could put so many Thai things inside a taco and it would be awesome.
I think, you know, they have Tex-Mex. No, yeah, Tex-Mex, right?
Yeah.
I think Thai-Mex would be very good.
Thai-Mex would be the best because like we share so many ingredients.
Yes.
Right?
Going back last time, okay, Sao Paulo, I felt like I was in Thailand. Mexico City, you would feel exactly like you in Bangkok. I kid you not. It's crowded, the heat, the smell, the everything.
Wow.
We should try the one episode, Tex-Mex.
We should go to Thai-Mex.
Yes. Oh, I'm so sorry. Yeah, Thai-Mex.
Yeah.
It's true. How they do their salsa.
Yeah.
Instead of, you know, for me, when I do that at home, I use fish sauce instead of salt.
Me too.
And it's so good.
Me too.
It's so good.
The pico de gallo, right?
Yes.
Yeah. I know. Me too. Oh, so good.
Even guacamole. It has to be a dash of kind of nam yam, you know. So good.
Yes. Now, we slid right into my next subject, which is creative Pad Krapow. So, other than tacos, what have you done with Pad Krapow?
Pizza.
I actually had that in Thailand in a hotel.
So good. I think it would do well with lasagna.
Yes.
I mean, think about it. If you were to dissect that, right? You have the beef. You have the herbs, basil. And then add on the tomato. It would be fine. And cheese. So good. I'm sure Pad Krapow spaghetti or some kind of pasta would do so well.
Yes. Yes.
Pad Krapow burger. I can go. The list can go
You can
on and
go
on.
on.
I can. Yeah. When it comes to food.
Anything that you would use ground beef, I think you can easily
Meatball. Think about that. Ooh, a Krapow meatball.
even if you just made your plain meatballs, but you make Pad Krapow sauce, and
on
then
the
you just
top.
toss the meatballs in that Pad Krapow sauce.
That could be my
goodness.
dinner tonight.
It
That's a
could.
great idea. That's a great idea. Why do you think people like us in Thailand, we don't do much of the seafood with Krapow? Yeah, we do, right? But
We
only
do.
down south. But like in central, most of the time it's just gai or mo, meaning chicken or pork.
Yeah, I mean, I think it started out with the fact that Pad Krapow is just a basic home cooking dish, and seafood is expensive for a lot of people. So most of the time, if this is to be like the cheap food of the people that you can buy for 15, 20 baht per person, like you can't do that with shrimp. It's going to be too expensive. But nowadays, fancy restaurants will do Pad Krapow with shrimp. I'm pretty sure I just had Pad Krapow with ostrich meat in Thailand.
Yes, I've done that. It's good. It's not bad.
I mean, anything. I literally have a post called Pad Krapow anything, and I give you a
True.
basic guideline on if you want to make Pad Krapow and you don't have the ground meat, what else can you do? What are some options? And you can literally do anything. Like you buy a rotisserie chicken from Costco for $8 or however much they charge, chop it up, turn it into Pad Krapow. Oh, and it'll be the best rotisserie chicken you've ever had.
That's a good Thai cooking technique.
Yeah.
It's a dish. The dish is the application.
Yes.
And then you make your own. Pad
Yes.
Krapow anything.
Yes. With fried egg, pig nam pla,
Done.
jasmine rice.
Perfect.
That's it.
Perfect.
Let's wrap up with our tips for making Pad Krapow.
For me,
Yes.
I like to start it with use the aromatic oil from the garlic and the chilies, like Thai chilies. That's it. I use with my stone mortar and pesto at home. And I think that if you love Thai food, invest in one. Okay, but don't do the small one. Do about 10 inches one so you have plenty of space, working space when you pound it, right? That's pretty much I love to do. Set your pan with a good oil, quality oil, and pound it fresh, garlic, chilies. Okay, and then cough a little bit when you
When you stir fry. Yeah, so
and then just make your own dish, and don't be, don't be bashful. Put a whole lot of leaves in there.
Yes.
never
Put
enough.
a lot of leaves of
Yeah.
basil leaves in there.
'Cause
It
it's
will
gonna wilt.
wilt
Yeah.
so much.
Yes.
It will look like you've added too much, but it will, just like spinach, it just disappears, and you'll be glad that you did. My tip is I want to give a tip for people who want to make Pad Krapow, but they don't eat spicy and they're afraid that they're, not going to be able to eat it. So the chilies actually provide a lot of flavor in this dish. So if you're going to make one that's not spicy, don't just not add any chilies. What I would do is if the chilies are spicy, remove the seeds and remove the white pith inside of the chilies, but then put in the chili flesh. It'll be less spicy, but you keep the chili flavor. Or you can also choose a milder chilies. Like in Thailand, we use spur chilies, Prik Tifa, which has the chili flavor, but it's not spicy. That's why we can really load up the dish with lots of flavor, but not the heat. I think in the US, you can find lots of different types of chilies that are milder, right? Like at the grocery store. So you don't have to buy Thai chilies, the little ones, which can be quite spicy.
And don't forget to put your kitchen gloves on.
Yes.
Because you don't want to touch the chilies with your bare hand. It could be dangerous.
Yes, and then you touch other delicate areas, and then and then it's painful. So if you're gonna go through the process of removing the seeds and the pith, put on some gloves. Don't touch that stuff. I've got stories that I don't want to share.
Now I'm curious.
We'll talk about it when we do an episode on chilies one of these days. I wanted to touch on something before we leave, and that is the proper way to pronounce Pad Gaprao. This is a thing that has a lot of confusion because, so the correct way to pronounce Pad Gaprao is Pad Gaprao. Notice the R is in the last syllable. But if you read restaurant menus, a lot of time they will say Pad Kra Pao and will put the R in the second syllable, in the gra. That is technically incorrect, but it is so common for Thai people to mispronounce it. Mm-hmm. So that's why you see a lot of versions with the R in the middle syllable, is because that's the common mispronounced way that Thai people say it. But if you were to write it down on paper, the R should be in the second syllable. This is also why when you look at Thai restaurant menus, you put 10 of them side by side, they'll all spell Pad Gaprao differently. Okay, Pad Gaprao with the R in different places, Pad Gaprao with a K or a G, or like sometimes they do Pad Kra Pao, like Kapow.
Yes.
You'll see so many variations.
Do you know what?
Yeah.
I have a proposal for you. I think you should start a Thai food dictionary. How to read Thai food. With English words. Yeah, true.
Well, for those interested in me ranting more about this, I do have a video called The Madness of Spelling Thai Dish Names in English, where I go through, I've mentioned this before in other episodes, where I go through reasons why the spelling is so crazy. And larb, lab, like we talked about that. But Pad Gaprao is another dish that just drives me absolutely up the wall with the variations that are out there, and sometimes it makes no sense. I, on my website, have had to, on purpose, use the incorrect spelling because it is the most common one. And when people searching for recipes on the internet, they will usually put Pad Kra Pao. And so like in the beginning, I was trying to be all like correct and on principle and all this. And then my recipes were not being found because Google didn't recognize back then that these were the same dish. Now I think Google is smarter. They're recognizing now that the same dish, but I still use the wrong version because that's the most recognizable one. Because again, I have to concede that if I want to be accessible, I have to make it so that people recognize.
You got to play the right. You have to play the game. Yeah, it's fine.
Yes. So don't come at me because I wrote the wrong thing.
You should put a footnote.
I always explain in the actual body of the post. I said, okay, you might have seen this word spelled as blah, 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 blah. Anyway.
So to be clear, it is Gaprao.
Gaprao. Yes.
Pad
Gaprao.
Gaprao.
Yes.
That's why we can speak Spanish quite well, because we can
roll our R's.
Yeah. Gaprao.
Gaprao. I'm learning Italian now, and I'm finding I'm finding the R so satisfying to roll.
Well, this was a good episode.
Yes. So to wrap it up, if you want to get in touch with us, you can reach us at sabaitalk@hongthaimee.com. You can find me at Hot Thai Kitchen on Instagram, Facebook. My website is hotthaikitchen.com for all of your recipe needs.
And for me, it is Hong Thaimee on Pinterest, Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. And thank you so much for subscribing. Pailin and I would keep on creating more contents for you.
Thank you as always for listening, and we will see you next time. สวัสดีค่ะ
สวัสดีค่ะ